Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. General Hospital Monday, September 9 recap. Jason destroys evidence, cops come for Alexis, and Isaiah wakes up. General Hospital, GH, spoilers recap for Monday, September 9, reveals that Portia Robinson, Brooke Kerr, spoke to Curtis Ashford, Donald Turner, about Heather Weber's, Allie Mills, imminent blood test results, and worried about the possibility of her ending up a free woman. Later, Portia stared at Heather's blood results on her computer screen at GH and seemed pensive. At Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Grahn plays her plan to get Molly Lansing Davis, Kristen Vaginos, and Christina Corinthos, Kate Mancy, to talk to each other spiraled into a furious shouting match between her daughters. After Christina left with Michael Corinthos, Chadwell, Molly complained about Alexis always putting her sister's needs first. At Sonny Corinthos, Morris Bernard Penthouse, Diane Miller, Carolyn Hennessy shut down Anna Devane's, Finola Hughes. Speculation about Sonny's gun. Anna wanted Jason Morgan, Steve Burton, to come down to the station with her, but Diane pointed out that Jason had an airtight alibi. Since Jason wasn't under arrest, he refused to go with Anna. Sonny wound up admitting that he hated Agent John Jagger Cates, Adam J. Harrington, and was glad he was dead, so Diane wasn't happy about that. When Michael and Christina showed up, they faced Anna's questions about whether they had taken the missing gun. Michael insisted he wasn't behind this, and Christina ultimately lied that she didn't take it either. However, Christina made a confession once Anna, Diane, and Jason took off. Once Christina admitted to stealing Sonny's weapon, she shocked him with the news that Alexis found it and got rid of it. Back with Jason, he destroyed the murder weapon in acid as he covered Sonny's tracks. At the new Aurora Wellness Center, T.J. Ashford, Tatch Bello, used a workout to release some of his anger toward Christina. Rick Lansing, Rick Hurst, understood and felt they had to support Molly since the rest of her family wouldn't. In a conversation with Curtis, Rick defended his decision to take Heather's case since it was just a civil one and affected other victims of the faulty hip implant. Rick argued that someone else would have taken the case anyway, and they might not have had Curtis and his family's best interests at heart. Meanwhile, Holly Sutton, Emma Sams, refused to risk helping Lucky Spencer, Jonathan Jackson, escape and offered to cut him into a big diamond score instead. Lucky pointed out that wealth didn't do him any good if he didn't survive, but Holly felt he'd be fine if he kept entertaining Sidwell, Carlo Rhoda. When Jordan Ashford, Tanisha Harper, appeared in Isaiah Gannon's Sawandi Wilson room, she caught the fake orderly hovering over him and asked what he was doing. Sidwell's man shoved Jordan aside and fled, but she caught up with him in the stairwell and wrestled the syringe away when he tried to jab her. While Jordan made sure the phony orderly got to the police station, Elizabeth Baldwin, Rebecca Herbst, checked on the mystery patient aka Isaiah. That's when Isaiah jolted awake, grabbed Liz's arm, and blurted out Lucky's name. At the PCPD, Dex Heller, Avenhofer, gave Harrison Chase, Josh Swickard, updates on what happened at Sonny's penthouse, so Chase wondered if Sonny knew Anna was barking up the wrong tree. Once Dex found out about the witnesses pointing the finger at Alexis for the gun disposal, Dex reflected on seeing her blast John before the murder. It left Dex thinking Alexis would kill John if she could. After Anna heard about the latest Alexis drama, Chase and Dex wound up on Alexis' doorstep. Molly was taken aback to learn the cops had questions about Alexis disposing of a gun the night Cates was killed. General Hospital spoilers say Alexis will have some explaining to do, so we'll bring you more predictions on the tight spot she's facing. The atmosphere at General Hospital was tense from the moment the sun rose, and by the end of the day, The chaos had spiraled into a whirlwind of shocking revelations, desperate moves, and tense confrontations. Jason destroys evidence. Jason Morgan had a steely resolve as he stood in Sonny's office, staring down at the damning evidence spread out across the desk. The files, photos, and flash drive represented everything that could send Sonny Corinthos and his entire organization crashing down. The mob war with Cyrus Renault had reached a fever pitch, and Jason knew that they were on the brink of losing everything if this evidence fell into the wrong hands. "You sure about this?" Brick asked from the doorway, eyeing Jason warily. The tension between them had been palpable all week, ever since Sonny had decided to take a backseat to let Jason handle the fallout. Jason gave a curt nod. "We don't have a choice. If this gets out, it's over." Without a second thought, Jason scooped up the flash drive and tossed it into the fireplace. As the flames hungrily devoured the data, he methodically shredded the papers, watching them turn to ash. Every document, every photo, gone. Brick shifted uncomfortably. "Cops are sniffing around, you know." Dante's been asking questions. "I'll handle Dante," Jason replied, his voice low and determined. "He won't push too hard if he knows what's good for him. This needs to disappear completely." But there was a heaviness in the air, a sense that no matter how much evidence Jason destroyed, the past was catching up with them. There was no room for mistakes, no margin for error. If Jason was going to save Sonny's empire, he needed to move quickly and decisively. But in the back of his mind, the shadow of betrayal loomed. Cops come for Alexis. Meanwhile, across town, Alexis Davis was facing a crisis of her own. She had been tangled in legal battles for most of her career, but now the law had come for her personally. It had all started a week ago with an anonymous tip to the PCPD about Alexis's involvement in covering up a murder from years ago. A case she thought was buried had been resurrected, and now Commissioner Jordan Ashford was leading the charge to bring her down. There was no running from it. Alexis sat in her office, her hands trembling slightly as she sipped her coffee. The phone on her desk buzzed, making her jump. It was Diane Miller. "Alexis," Diane's voice was tense on the other end. "I just got word that the police have a warrant for your arrest. They'll be coming for you any minute." Alexis's heart sank. She had spent her life defending others from the law, and now it was her turn to face the music. "Do they have anything solid on me?" "They've got enough to make your life miserable." That tipster, whoever they are, they knew exactly where to dig, Diane replied. Just as Diane finished her sentence, there was a knock at the door. Alexis froze, fear and anger coursing through her veins. She didn't have to guess who it was. Slowly, she stood, her breath shaky, as she crossed the room to open the door. There stood Detective Chase and another officer. Chase's face was a mixture of professionalism and regret. "Alexis Davis, you're under arrest for obstruction of justice." Alexis's world spun as the words hit her. She was cuffed, led out of her office in front of her colleagues and the press. The fall from grace was swift, and the whispers followed her as the officers escorted her to the waiting squad car. The sight of her being driven away was a grim reminder that no one was above the law in Port Charles, not even her. Isaiah wakes up. While the Corinthos Empire was in flames and Alexis's legal career crumbled, something extraordinary was happening at General Hospital. In a private room, a young man stirred for the first time in weeks. Isaiah Henderson had been in a coma after a brutal attack, and his prognosis had been grim. His mother, Jordan, had barely left his side, praying for a miracle. And today, that miracle came. Isaiah's eyelids fluttered open, his vision blurry as he tried to focus on the soft light above him. At first, everything was a haze. His memories, his thoughts, even the sound of the machines beeping beside him. Slowly, the world around him started to sharpen, and the first thing he saw was Jordan's tear-streaked face. "Isaiah?" Jordan's voice was thick with emotion, her hands trembling as she reached for her son. "Oh my God, you're awake." He blinked, his lips dry, throat raw as he tried to speak. The words wouldn't come at first, but the recognition in his eyes was unmistakable. Jordan collapsed into a chair beside him, sobbing with relief. "You're okay," she whispered, brushing his hair back from his forehead. "You're really okay." It took Isaiah a moment to process what was happening, but slowly he began to remember. The attack, the darkness, the endless dream he'd been trapped in. He had been sure he would never wake up. But now, here he was, staring into his mother's eyes, alive. As the doctors rushed in to check on him, Isaiah's mind was already racing. He had answers that the police needed, secrets that could turn the tide in Port Charles. But with those answers came danger, and he knew that his life, and the lives of those he loved, were still very much in jeopardy. Port Charles at the crossroads. The events of the day left Port Charles teetering on the edge. Jason had successfully destroyed the evidence, but the war between the Corinthos organization and its enemies was far from over. Alexis was in police custody, facing charges that could ruin her forever. And Isaiah's awakening brought hope, but also a dangerous new element to the already volatile landscape. As night fell, the people of Port Charles found themselves in a web of secrets, lies, and power plays that would soon reach a boiling point. And when the truth finally came to light, no one would be left unscathed.